Hey, Kiss Army, it's Bruce Kulick, with my beautiful asylum guitar. And you're listening to the Kiss Army Nation podcast. They're incredible. So crank it up with them.
My friends, and welcome to episode 68 of the Kiss Army Nation podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Pasquale Veri.
And I am Claudio Spera. Welcome to the show, everyone.
On this discussion panel, we are once again joined by our panel guests, Craig Patton. Hey, Craig.
Hey, guys.
And Patrick de Montigny. Hey, Pat.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome back to the show, boys.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
So before we get started, I want to try a little something different. Instead of, doing the typical, what's new in your Kiss world, I want to try something called free association. So I'm going to give you a word, and the first one that comes to mind, discuss it. Okay? Craig.
Yeah.
The word is bootlegs. What comes to mind?
The recent flood of videos that came out from Kurt Gooch and Sam Loomis.
Ooh, big surprise.
I can't keep up with them. They just keep flooding in every day, and it's all like new stuff and reinventing the wheel for Kiss concerts. How this stuff missed Kiss vision is beyond me. Or Kissology is beyond me. But these are better videos than actually the band has.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, really nice. It's that 70s stuff, just wow. Like, this is stuff we remember from the 70s, right, guys?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick, what are your thoughts about those latest releases?
I think this is, again, what the fans have been wanting for such a long time. And I think, we had a hard time following what's coming out recently. But I think, again, I think the fans are hungry for vintage. And this is like, wow, finally we have something, that we haven't seen or nobody even knew existed. Even the Revenge one that just came out, that was like, wow, because I have a feeling that Revenge is an overlooked period, so it's a lot of fun to see that, but the early stuff we can't touch.
Mm-hmm. Claudia, what are your thoughts about these releases?
Well, I'm so excited. This is like Christmas every day, because it's every day. So we're getting, a flood, as Craig was saying, 2, 3, or sometimes more a day. And the beauty of all of this is that with technology now, we are exposed to, upgraded video and upgraded audio. So, the treatment that some of these files are getting, it's actually even better than the original, of course. So this is great. So it's a great time to be a Kiss fan, I have to say.
That's the thing, right? A lot of people are saying it's a great time to be a Kiss fan in relation to these upcoming these releases. But is it just me? I feel bad, in a sense, profiting or enjoying these releases because I know there's drama around it, and that's the reason it's being released. And I don't want to talk about that on this show, but I almost feel guilty for enjoying these because, in a sense, I know the reason they're being released. It's not being released for the Kiss fan. Here you go, guys. This is for you. This is something else. What do you guys think about that, Craig?
Listen, I think it's like Matt was saying. It's something that we've always wanted, and we've always been criticizing that we never got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to, like you said, unfortunate circumstances why it comes out, but hail to us, it's out.
Right.
And like you said, I'm I'm enjoying it. It's too bad it didn't come out in a different format, but I mean, I'll take it.
Okay. Pat, what do you think?
The drama is not too good, I gotta say, me not being a fan of drama in the first place. But that being said, I try to not pay attention to it too much. I mean, if it's out there for people to enjoy it, even if it's under unfortunate circumstances, at this point, we gotta go, well, it's out there, let's enjoy it. You know, I would have much preferred for that stuff to come out in another way,
Yeah.
sort of like a Kissology or whatever, or another title.
Yeah.
That would have been great, but that's not how it is. So it's a lot of fun for us to watch anyways.
Mhm.
But yeah, under better circumstances would have been even more enjoyable.
Yeah, those are my thoughts exactly. Claudia,
Yeah,
what do you think?
I fully agree with you guys. It is true, you know, even though we're enjoying it, it's yeah, there's a lot of drama, and there's all kinds of conspiracy theories around it, you know, like you know, putting names to whoever Sam Loomis is and blah blah blah. So, but again, I don't want to go there. You know, I just want to enjoy the material, and I hope that this is maybe going to be something that KISS will pay attention, and they start releasing the stuff that they have in the vault, you know, to the fans, and of course make profit out of it with a nice treatment, you know, with a nice package, you know, something that we all deserve, instead of accessing all this beautiful material kind of in a bootleg kind of type, you know. So I really hope so. This is maybe a wake-up call for Paul and Gene, and for the KISS you know, circle, to start releasing stuff as it should be, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah. So okay, guys. So before we get to our topic, I want to ask an off-the-topic question. So a lot of fans are saying that the end of the road is the never-ending tour. Well, no, it's still going on because of COVID, as we all know. But now Gene is saying that they will add another 100 shows. Now, can you argue that it's a never-ending tour? What are your thoughts? So this is pretty recent. So this announcement coming from Gene, we didn't hear about it from Paul, but we can assume that this is, you know, an official kind of information from the band. What do you think, Craig?
It will end eventually. It's just that I think they're trying to make up for lost time and money that they lost during COVID, like, you know, and I think that they're still going strong. So, but on the other end, is it like the farewell to farewell, right? Is it ever gonna materialize? I hope it never ends, but realistically, if they have to use backing vocals and other stuff to make it go on, I don't know. Maybe those 100 shows after that, they should definitely kind of hang up the boots. But for me, like I said, I would like it to last forever, but it's not in the cards, right?
But what do you think?
Well, I don't want to look like the guy who defends the band in a blind way, but they're not the only ones. And I probably, if Gene announced another 100 shows, it's probably because they were approached. I don't think it was them approaching the promoters. Somebody's knocking on their door, I would assume, saying, hey, look, we would love to have you back in our city, you know, because the promoters lost a little bit of money too during COVID as well. So I think it would be a purpose that would serve everybody. And let's face it, you know, even though if they came back to Montreal, I wouldn't complain about it. I would go, well, I'm going to go once again.
Yeah.
So that never-ending tour, I mean, we don't want it to end, but if they drag it too long, I'm going to say, well, they're dragging it too much. So we're hard to please as KISS fans, but I think, yeah, why not do another 100 shows? Is it the demand is there, and if they can do it?
Ask.
My question is, before COVID, they had an actual ending date, right? It was July 16th, if I remember.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened. And then, like Craig was saying, they're trying to catch up as much as they can. But you would have thought that once things got going after COVID, they would have had that ending date again. But they don't. Well, now they're just, here we go, we're adding another 100 shows. So how long is this going to go on? I heard about the residency that was supposed to happen in Las Vegas. That didn't happen. I'm hearing that it might still happen. Is that going to happen during the tour? Is it going to happen after the tour? Because if the residency happens after the tour, technically they're still playing. That's not the end of that's not the end of Kiss. The end of the touring entity that is Kiss. So I understand, and like Patrick, I agree. I'm not complaining. If Kiss comes back to Montreal, man, I'm going to be there. Within a 10-hour radius of Montreal, I'm going to be there. Of course. But just to answer this question, 100 shows. I remember the reunion. They did 200 shows, and that took a full year. Yeah. And Paul said that they're going to end it early in 2023.
Yeah.
If they have 100 other shows coming up, it will not end on 2023, and we don't know what's going to happen between now and then anyway. So I'd like to see an end date like they did before COVID, just for the anticipation of the end of the road. And I think we'd appreciate the shows more and the experience more if we did see an end to it rather than more shows and more shows and more shows. Are they really going to end it? Like Craig said, is this the farewell tour? And like Pat said, is this what every other band does? They call it farewell, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Claudio, what do you think?
Well, we've been through this many times already. In 2000, when they did the farewell tour, they were saying, well, that's the farewell for this lineup, but we want to keep going. What I think is that they're going to find a way to justify going on, saying that this is going to be the 50th anniversary of the band. Instead of saying the end of the road, that's going to be the 50th. So how are we going to miss, the 50th anniversary? We want to play one more time for our fans, blah, blah, blah. I think 2023 is going to be the end of the band going live. That's what I believe. Which month? I don't know. Maybe towards the end of the year. Then I'm interested to see if those 100 dates are going to be kind of worldwide, because that's a complete different animal. So one thing is doing US legs and Canada and North America, but something different is going back to South America, going back to Europe, going back to Australia. I don't know if that's going to happen. I remember when I was at the Buenos Aires show, I had the feeling, and I remember telling you guys that I had the feeling that was not going to be the last time down there. But I don't know. I think, it all depends on, to me, at this point in time, it all comes to what Paul wants to do. Because if it's up to Gene, he will keep going, no matter what. But I think Paul is going to be the one putting, the end date. But again, bittersweet, of course, we're going to go there. We're going to go to every single show that it's close by. But at the same time, when people make fun of Kiss saying, hey, this is the farewell of the farewell, it is true. Now it is true, it's what's happening. It's what's happening.
Right.
I heard something on the online there saying that people are thinking that this is going to extend it for like a year, which would give time for Peter and Ace to get back into shape for a final couple of shows. I don't know how I look at.
Wow.
I think it's extravagant. I think it's extravagant and kind of loopy, but then again, it's Kiss, right? So,
yeah. Well, who knows? Huh?
Who knows?
Well, what is true is that to me, and that maybe we're going to wrap it up with this. What I believe is that both Gene and Paul are so comfy with Tommy and Eric that this is a well-oiled machine. For them. We were saying that sometimes they go through the motions, the production is already there. If they don't change anything in the stage, for them, it's just the logistics. But when it's time for playing, if they're not going to change the set list, if there's not going to be any additional challenge, well, for them, they can play for 2-3 more years. That's for sure. That's for sure.
All right. So for the rest of this episode, we're going to take what many Kiss fans believe were missteps from the band. We're going to ask and answer the question, was it so bad? Okay, so we'll start with an easy one. Gene's acting. Was Gene's acting so bad? Craig?
Yeah, I think at some of the movies, but there was a few gems in there. I did do some research on this. Runaway was good. I think that Never Too Young was okay. Trick or Treat was okay.
Mhm.
But some of them was like cameo appearances. Some of it was him in drag or something. And I'm like, I'm not into that too much there. But I don't think he's a Kevin Costner or something like that. But I mean, he did at that time. I think he did draw ticket sales. I mean, there was some really good movie. Wanted Dead or Alive was another one that was really good. But in the global scheme of things, no, I think musicianship was his forte and not acting. That's for sure.
Okay, Patrick.
No, it wasn't that bad. I think if he would have maybe, let's say, that's not what I would have wanted, but let's say Kiss would have split and he would have gone on into the acting. I think he could have done, maybe he would have had a second career, if we can call it. But he was spreading himself too thin, doing acting and Kiss, so he was not doing either well, as we can tell on 80s Kiss records. So therefore, it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't the best either. Like Craig said, he's no Kevin Costner or any of those guys. So it was not bad, but not the best either.
So, Pat, you think he would be a better actor if he put 100% of his effort into his acting?
He would have taken lessons and things like that because he had tried. That's footage we can see everywhere. Where I think it's during the Elder era. He was doing an audition for something.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but you can tell that he probably took some lessons, and maybe if he would have concentrated, maybe he would have done better.
Okay,
I think.
Claudio?
I don't think it was bad. I remember at that time I really enjoyed it. And now looking things into perspective, of course, with Gene saying that was a kind of a dark, a time in his career. He was kind of a little bit off from the band, but I think it was okay. It's a Gene, and I have a tendency to digest everything that Gene does. I always try to find the good side of things with him. But I don't think it was that bad. Of course, I think he has a lot of talent and potential. Maybe not as an actor, but if he puts everything into it, he could have become much better. But so that's what I think. What do you think, Buck? What's your take?
I think it's bad that he thought he was Mr. Hollywood. No, he wasn't. He was putting his Hollywood aspirations before Kiss, and I think that's bad. And fine, he wanted to be an actor, but in my humble opinion, he wasn't that good an actor. And
Okay.
I remember. I didn't watch the movies because Gene Simmons is in it. It's because I like the genre of movie. I liked Runaway because I liked the idea and the story behind it. Gene happened to be in it. But that's not why I saw that movie. I saw it because of the genre of the movie. But come on, we're coming to get you, Ramsey. Wow, really? Really? Come on. His best roles is where he plays himself because he knows that role the best. And already, Pat, you were saying if he had practice, I don't know, because he was already typecast from the get-go, being the villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he always tried to play the Gene Simmons demon villain kind of thing. And you really saw that in Runaway. And then doing drag, and I mean, come on, seriously as an actor. So I think it's a shame that he chose that over Kiss at the time. And because of that, I think, it was so bad.
Okay. So guys, let's go to the second one. So, and I love this one. So we all know that costumes are a big part of a typical Kiss show. So fans always cringe when discussing the 80s, costumes. So casting point, the Asylum era costumes. Was it so bad? What do you think, Craig?
Look, if you're looking at Animalized, look it up. I think they were okay, but Asylum was really, really out there. They looked like girls a lot of times, and I understand at the time it was like that Cinderella and some other glitter bands, whatever. That's what they were doing, right? But to me, they look like women, and they look totally out of the place. That their makeup looked like my mother. I mean, they had rouge and they had mascara and everything. It was, and I mean, I understand that the music in that was more poppy. I guess they had to. I don't know. It's not a favorite era for me. Some of the songs are okay. It's just the way they looked. Yeah, it's no, it's hard to watch.
Okay.
And that tempo of the songs, they seem to like put it on 45, you know, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to understand what the song even is. Being a huge Kiss fan, what is that song? You know,
True.
yeah,
True. Patrick, what do you think?
No, I think it was horrible. I mean, really, you could tell that they were completely lost. They tried to, like Craig said, go with bands like Cinderella or Poison, but it didn't suit them well. That was the problem. Because I got to say, I was a fan of Cinderella and all those other bands, but I don't think it's look good this way. Paul, maybe a little bit, but aside from that, had they stuck to being dark, it would have been a little better. But it was the times as well, and I think the '80s were cheesy in a way, even with fashion. You think of the haircuts, even the people who were not into metal or hard rock. You look at that now and you go, you know. So I think Kiss has that period as well. So Asylum, yeah, it was really bad, I got to say.
Okay. Pasc?
No, it was really bad. It was really bad. Two things. Number one, with or without makeup, Kiss has always been a visual band. And in the 80s, without the makeup, what their strong suit was their music. And if people are going to visualize the band the way they were dressed, I thought it hurt the music because people are not going to take the band very seriously. That's number one. And number two, yeah, I agree they were trying to emulate Cinderella, Poison, those 80s hair bands. But like Gene often says, we're not pioneers. We just do what everybody else does, but bigger. This was an example where they shouldn't have gone bigger. The band, the 80s bands are wearing those flashy outfits. Let's be even more flashy. No. Don't be as flashy this time. They went too far.
Yeah.
I wish that the non-makeup Kiss started with the revenge look. That was my favorite look of the band. Non-makeup, hands down.
Yeah.
Claudio?
Well, no, I'm with you guys. So I think this is, if I remember well from all the discussion panels that we've had, this is maybe one of the few times where all of us agree. This was really, really, terrible. I can't stand that, that era. I often say that Asylum, for me, it's one of my least favorite albums. I know that there's a lot of people who loves the 80s, and it's fine, it's good. But I agree with Craig. Not so long ago, we've been exposed to one of these bootlegs, from Sam Loomis, on one show on Asylum, and I had never actually watched a complete show from that era. So I was a little bit, intrigued and said, okay, how cool was that? Mm-hmm. And except for the biggest logo ever, the rest was forgettable to me. I couldn't understand what the songs were. I was excited to listen to King of the Mountain. That it's part of that show, and not even. It was so fast and. Gene, if we come back to the topic, Gene's look is the worst ever. Paul, kind of okay. Eric, you don't see him much. Bruce, okay, you can live with it. But Gene, no, come on, no, give me a break. No, that was too much.
Hey, what I'm liking about this episode is that we're not always positive, are we? We don't always like everything, do we? There's some things that we don't like, and this is
and it's okay.
It's absolutely
and
okay.
It's okay.
So, speaking of which, obviously Kiss has a huge discography, and obviously some fans enjoy one album more than another. But it seems that most fans agree that Carnival of Souls is downright awful. Was Carnival of Souls so bad? Craig?
When I first put that disc or album on, I'm like, ooh, what is this? And you have to listen to that album countless times to actually enjoy it. Because after a while, some tunes, they catch on you. There is some stuff on there that's really outstanding, and there's some stuff that's like, okay. But it's like we mentioned in past episodes. If you're in a grungy mood, you listen to that. If you're in a poppy mood, you listen to Unmasked.
Yeah.
It has a place and a purpose for your mood swings. I think it was a one-off for those guys just to get it out of their system and say, okay, you want a grunge, here's a grunge. You want a poppy, here's a poppy.
Mhm.
You know, but overall, I think there's worse albums. But to me, it's not one of my top 10. But I mean, there's some really solid stuff in there for me anyway.
Okay, Patrick?
Yeah, it's not that bad. It has its moments. I prefer that to Crazy Nights or Asylum. But that being said, at the same time, there are some songs on there that go, okay, they're trying to be Pearl Jam here, which I have nothing against Pearl Jam, but I meant like if you're going to listen to Pearl Jam, you want to listen to Pearl Jam do it, not Kiss trying to do it. But there's some stuff on there that I like. So, Hate, Master and Slave, I like In My Head, and there's also Jungle, and even the Bruce song, I Walk Alone, which I think it's pretty interesting to hear Bruce sing. So it kind of closes the era, because it finishes the album. So it finishes that era of Kiss, which I think is interesting. So I think it's an interesting album overall. Not that bad.
Okay.
Not great, but not that bad.
All right, Claudio?
I don't think it's bad. It's one more album. Again, not one of my favorites, but I think what happened with Carnival of Souls, maybe the timing didn't help. I remember we were in the middle of the reunion tour, and then maybe if Carnival of Souls would have been released right after, let's say, Revenge or something like that, it could have had a bigger impact or a different impact on fans. But again, there's some good tunes in there. Of course, I skipped some, but no, I don't think it's so bad. I can really live with Carnival of Souls. No issues there. There's worse albums than Carnival, that's for sure. Pask, what's your take?
Well, some people listen to an album or a CD, and if they don't like it, they throw it out, never listen to it again. This is one of those things where you have to give it a chance and let it grow on you. Yeah. If I did that, listen to the CD and just discarded it right away, I wouldn't have liked Elder, because when I first heard Elder, I didn't like it. It grew on me. I didn't like Unmasked. It grew on me. I didn't like Revenge. I'm sorry, but I also didn't like Revenge. It grew on me. And this album was no different. When I first heard it, it's like, oh boy, I didn't like it at all. It was way too heavy for my taste, but it grew on me. And even today, I'm still spinning it quite a few times. There are some really good songs on that album. Maybe it's not Kiss, I agree, but it's good music nonetheless. So no, I don't think it's that bad.
Okay, cool. Now speaking of albums, there's another one that is really, divisive with fans. That is Psycho Circus. Okay, why Psycho? For the simple fact that we later found out that both Ace and Peter almost didn't play on it at all, except for a couple of tunes. So just because Ace and Peter didn't play on the album, does it make Psycho Circus a bad album? Was it so bad? What do you guys think? Craig?
Look, it's one of my favorite albums. I mean, but when I found out that they didn't pay Peter and Ace on a lot of the tunes, I was kind of like, oh wow, really? Like this is the one chance they have to get back together and play as a band, and like I said before, it should have been a double disc. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other songs in the archives they could have thrown on there. And if it was going to be the final album with the original lineup, then they should have made it extra special, I think. But saying that, I mean, it was still a great album, but I just don't understand why they would have replaced them on certain, I don't know, on the whole album. I mean, give it what it is. Then I don't think they needed replacement people, but then again, we weren't behind the scenes, right? So
yeah.
So no, listen, I like it a lot.
Okay, Pat?
I think it's an okay record, even if it would have been Ace and Peter on it, on everything. I still would have said, well, it's good, but it's beyond below my expectations.
Okay.
There's some good stuff on there, of course. Again, like Psycho Circus, the title track, so that I like with them. I'm one of the very few that likes that song. I like We Are One. I like the Ace song, Into the Void.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, kind of lots of filler on there. For some reason, I was never hooked. Again, even if it would have been Ace and Peter on that record, I would have gone, well, I expected a little more. The fact that there was no Peter song, because I don't consider Finally Found My Way to be a Peter song. It's a Paul song written for Peter.
Yeah.
So I expected material from all the guys, which didn't happen. So, but it's an album that is so.
Okay.
Not because Ace and Peter didn't play on it. It's the material.
Okay. Ask.
Psycho Circus is one of those albums that I did like from the get-go. I love Psycho Circus. I love the video for Psycho Circus. Within, a fantastic Gene song. Now, I thought it was cool that, this is a reunion album. All the four guys are on it. This is fantastic, That's what I thought at the time. And then when I learned Ace and Peter didn't play, it didn't change my opinion on the album. I still enjoyed the album. Not more, not less. Just because Alive now, we heard later on that Alive was fixed up. Does that change your opinion on the album? No. Why should this be any different? If you enjoyed the music originally, why would it be different because you find out that Ace and Peter weren't on it? Like Craig said, it would have been cool if they were on it. It would have been a nice swan song for them. But the reality is they weren't. But I didn't think that hurt the album at all. And I also agree with Pat. The album is what it is, and it wouldn't be much different if Ace and Peter played on it. It would have been nice if they had their own song. If Peter had their own song, or had more songs. Because I remember they were talking about fans were hoping for a double album. Every member of the band has equally 4 or 5 songs. That would have been awesome. That would have been, And who cares if a Peter song or an Ace song didn't fit the Kiss style at the time? It's Ace playing it. It's Peter playing it. It would have been amazing. That's not the reality. For what the album was, I enjoyed it.
So I'm with you, Pascal, on this one. If we kind of stick to the question, if the fact that Ace and Peter were not there, does it make it a bad album? No. The answer is no. Again, was it so bad? Not at all. I do remember that I was so excited in '98, after the reunion tour, these guys getting together for an album. I think that was a big opportunity that they missed, to make an epic album. I didn't know what was behind the scenes. I didn't know that things were not going great, inside the band with Peter and Ace. I thought that was going to be kind of a destroyer on like times 10. I don't know. I thought of that, having 1 or 2 songs from Ace, 1 or 2 songs from Peter, a double album and all of that. And I remember with all the hype and all the publicity and merch that was flowing at that time for Psycho Circus, the theme of the album was amazing. And but that didn't translate into a great album. Okay, it's okay. I like it, a couple of tunes here and there. But I think they missed the boat, But again, if we have the tendency to judge an album because of the musicians that play there, well, we have an issue with Dynasty. We're going to have an issue with Unmasked. Yeah, we're going to have issues with most of the '80s because there were a lot of phantom musicians in the '80s, So again, I think it is worse with Psycho because it was the four originals. That's why.
I think they missed the boat on something that I just occurred to me a few days ago. Was that wouldn't it be really really cool? Like it's their first reunion album since they got back together, and they did a kind of documentary like the Beatles did with Get Back. And I see that stuff behind the scenes and watch the whole album being recorded and all the controversy, all the stuff. It would have been so like you're there, what's going on.
All right, so Ace and Peter didn't play on Psycho Circus, but allegedly Paul is lip syncing and or getting help on the End of the Road tour. In your opinion, does this affect the quality of the show? Is it so bad that he's lip syncing or getting any help? Craig?
It's a great question because for me, I always like the live experience, but then again, do I want to go there and cringe in my seat because he's not hitting the notes?
Yeah.
Um, I think a lot of bands do it nowadays, so I don't think it's something that's unique to Kiss or unique to Backstreet Boys or whatever. Um, I don't think it's so bad if the outcome is you got what you paid for. If you went there and you're sitting there and then Paul's like, you're like, I don't know that I don't think it's going to be a memorable experience. I don't think so. But I don't think it's that. I don't think for me it's a no go or go.
Okay, Patrick.
It's not that bad in the sense that I've learned to accept that the Kiss we have now is not the same as the vintage Kiss. What I'm saying with that is that back in the 70s, most bands, not just Kiss, what you saw on stage was what you got. No, as far as I know, nobody was hiding behind the curtains playing this or that. Samples became something in the 80s that was there, drum triggers and all that stuff. So we all remember how he sounded like in the early 2010s, you know, on the 2012 tours and things like that. And it was a big issue. So I think there had to be some kind of a solution or a compromise. So I'm willing to accept that, yes, he gets help. So it's not that bad because it is true that he's probably not the only one out there who does it. So I don't initially think I love it, but at the same time, I understand it. I've learned to accept that the Kiss we have now is not the same machine as it was back in the 70s.
No,
shows, when you go to shows, any artist, you know you're going to get some pre-recordings, there are going to be some samples and all that stuff. It's part of music business nowadays. So I've learned to accept that.
Audio?
I agree with Pat and Craig. You know, no, it's not so bad. Actually, I think within the Kiss family, we tend to accept a lot of things because we love the band and we want to see them going. And you know, I would be interested to know what's the opinion from an outsider. You know, from someone that hasn't seen any other shows. But again, I prefer this. You know, versus you know, Paul in the previous tours where he was having big issues, you know, to hit the notes, and actually he didn't want to compromise the set list. You know, there were a lot of Paul songs in the set list, so because of, you know, how proud he is of himself, and then but he was having a hard time. Now we have to remember, it's a show, okay? Kiss is a show. It's not a concert. So there's a lot of stuff that hides, you know, behind, you know, the fire and the explosions and the lighting and all of that. So, and to me, the quality of the show doesn't suffer because he's getting help with his voice. Maybe what's happening is that there's a lot of media against Kiss these days because mainly Gene, he was very vocal in the past, saying, "Oh, we don't do playback, we don't do lip syncing like such and such. You know, we're real rock and roll, playing live." Well, you have to watch what you say.
Yeah.
So, Pask, what do you think?
I don't get what the issue is. I like what Craig says. You know, are we there to watch a rock and roll show, a live show? Okay, here's the question. You know, when you listen to a CD or an album, right? You're there to listen to the musical experience of that CD and the record, right? But that experience has been fixed up. Imagine the band was in the studio and they play and they sing, bang, record, send it out. What kind of garbage would we be getting, right?
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They repeat over and over and over again. They sync it, they fix it up. That's not what they really sound like. It's all doctored.
Yeah.
The show's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
When we go to a concert, we go for the concert experience. Just because it's being, there's some lip syncing or Paul's getting some help, doesn't mean it's no longer a live experience. The band is there in front of you. You're seeing the show literally explode in front of you. That's what a live experience is. If a live experience means just go up on stage and do your thing. Like I saw years ago in Niagara Falls, New York, where my God, Paul couldn't keep a note. I was so embarrassed. It was the only show I want to walk out of because I'm watching my idols up on stage just falling apart. It was embarrassing, you know. And I remember walking the streets, people are going, "How was the show?" "Yeah, it was fantastic, man." No, it wasn't. It was embarrassing. I don't want to see that again, and especially for the end of the road show. So if we're gonna get a kick-ass show for the end, the way they're doing it now absolutely works for me. Whatever kind of help they're getting, I'm good with it. I'm not good with what Gene said, Claudio. I agree with you. That's too bad. It's unfortunate, but no, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, cool. So speaking of concerts, well, we just talked that Paul is getting help, you know, vocal help on the tour. Is that as bad as Kiss not changing the set list since 2004?
Ooh.
That's a good one. And so the set list, is it so bad? Craig?
This is the never-ending question for me, and we have many, many talks me and Pascal about it. And for me, it's why not change it? But I understand they're playing for the masses, not the casual fan, right? Not the diehards. Sorry, but you notice when they threw a song in there once in a while, like, and it just goes silent, like no one knows this song. Like I say, yeah, or on the Rock the Nation, they would put Going Blind or some people like, what is that? You know, that would only make sense on a Kiss cruise where there's diehards only.
Mm-hmm.
But being a diehard, we all want that, right? Because we've been to thousands of shows or whatever the case may be, and we've heard the same set list basically with a few new songs put in from new albums or switch around, and sometimes they play this one night and play that one night, but they're still the same. It's still the same stuffing, you know what I mean? But I don't think it'll ever change because they're comfortable doing that. They have it on a repeat, a looping track, and I don't think Paul can handle some of the new songs. I don't think, like for example, The Oath. He can't sing that song.
Yeah.
He has to tone it down to a slower pace to make it actually legible, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, do what it is. It is what it is.
So let me ask you something. Do you like the set list as it is today?
No, because there's a lot of songs that I love, but I'm just 100 times Rock and Roll Night, Shout Out. They're great songs, but I just don't want to hear them every time.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm alone in that one, but.
Well, you know, I was thinking because we were talking about, you know, adding 100 shows, you know, to the tour. Let's say they come to Montreal, they come to, you know, close to our place. We go to the US, you know, we do a road trip just to watch, again, the same songs over and over again.
They did it one time when they came within 3 months of each other. Yeah. I think it was a Live 35, and they threw in, they were supposed to play Dr. Love, and I think they switched it up and they put I Stole Your Love.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And Gene seemed surprised. Oh, I Stole Your Love. Okay, so let's play that. Yeah. You know, so that was kind of spontaneous, which was great.
Right.
And they played King of Nighttime World open that show, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I lose my mind, so I like that song.
But what's your opinion?
Yeah, I'm pretty much with Craig on that one. There's so much they can't change that much because, you know, I think it's true that whether we like it or not, those diehards, when they play something obscure, they go, okay, maybe it's time for a beer, or maybe it's time to like, okay, what's this?
Mushroom break.
But at the same time, it's nice if they throw maybe one or two. Being a vintage person, when they did that with I Stole Your Love, I was like, yes, I don't think I've ever seen them play that song aside from maybe the Hot in the Shade tour. Yeah. So it's like, wow, great. But even I remember when they did a Creatures tour, we saw them in Montreal. It was the very start of the tour. They played stuff like Christine 16, and they brought back some old stuff. But when I went to see them play in Detroit, where they recorded the Live 3, I was like, okay, they changed the set list. They put back in some songs that are a little more well known because probably it's only the diehards who know those songs. So it's very tricky. So I think they may want to change the set list, but they're realistic enough to know that they can't do too much. And I think that goes for any artist. Again, go to a Van Halen show with David Lee Roth, you're going to get Unchained, you're going to get Jump, you're going to get Panama and all that stuff. So it's the same pretty much for every band.
Yeah, yeah. Busk, what do you think?
First of all, I don't buy the idea that we're playing for the casual fans, because if that was true, they would change up the set list on the Kiss cruise, and only after the first few cruises where they played some really obscure stuff. Later on in the Kiss cruises, it ended up being the same thing over and over and over again. Remember, one of the cruises, it was basically a rehearsal for Monster, and then it became a rehearsal for End of the Road. I mean, so I don't necessarily buy that particular argument. And I also understand that diehards go to every single show. We go to a lot of shows. We want to hear different songs. That's not realistic. I get it. But two things. Number one, if Paul's getting help, why can't he get help on more obscure songs if he can't sing them? Number one. And number two, I mentioned this in an earlier podcast. It has nothing to do necessarily with the song that they're playing. Like, for example, Say Yeah. You hear crickets when that song comes on. That's absolutely true. I've seen it with my own eyes and ears. Yeah. But it's the idea that they don't put any spectacle around the show like they do with their classics. Yeah. And if they were to incorporate the spectacle with that particular song, who cares what the song is? Yeah. The casual fans would lose their minds, and the diehards would go crazy.
Yeah.
But they're just not doing that. And I think that's what the problem is. So to answer your question, I think it's bad that it's always the same songs over and over again.
Well, look, I have nothing more to say. This is exactly what I was going to say. Kiss is a show, and there's a lot of production, and they could put a lot of production around other songs, and they can make it work. It doesn't matter if it's for diehards or for the casual fan. Look, it's I don't mean like changing the set list completely, because you're not going to get rid of God of Thunder, Love Gun, I Was Made, Detroit. They will always be there. But why not change, Calling Dr. Love? Why not replace Say Yeah? I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 songs. And 2 or 3 songs out of 20 songs, the audience will be okay with it. It's not like they're playing like sometimes Maiden does. They play the whole album, and then you don't even have the chance to listen to the Trooper. So we're not talking about that. But just 2, 3, 4 songs per show. Why not? And as Paz was saying, if you put production on top of that, some nice images on the screen, the same thing that we do with the War Machine, with Psycho Circus, same thing, people will lose their mind. Mm-hmm. So I think, again, I'm with you on this one. I think it is bad that they're playing the same thing over and over again. It's funny, when they were playing in Europe, I was checking the set list, just wishing to see one different song. Nothing. The same over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we should add the following song to the set list, right? And I'm talking about the collaboration with Memorial Clover Z on Samurai Sun. Was that song so bad? Should Kiss have collaborated with that boy band, Craig?
I in preparation for this, I watched that video.
Sorry.
And it was, my whole time watching was like, I don't get it. I maybe I'm left field. I just don't get it. I saw them play it live too. They were playing it live, no emotion, no. I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. I don't know why they would even come up with a random thing like that for Japan. I mean, they didn't do any collaborations with other big names in America or Europe or anything. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words on that one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Patrick?
Yeah, the first time I gotta say, I only heard it once, and that was enough for me. I was like, okay, no, this is, and again, it's not because they were with a boy band or anything like that. I was like, no, I just don't think it does nothing for me. It's just, had I liked the song, maybe I would have thought differently, but No, I think that is comes out of left field, and I don't know what the purpose of that is, and didn't really have the desire to listen to it again.
Mm-hmm.
So it was bad, yes.
Agreed.
Claudia?
No, really bad, man. So to me, it's like no, I cannot watch it. I can you imagine these guys doing that song, that video with the asylum costumes, man? That could be so fun. No, but no, it's no. That to me, it's I cannot watch it. I remember when it was released, I couldn't understand, what is why that was made, what kind of market they wanted to capture, and actually it didn't work because Kiss is not made for that. No, really bad. Tusk?
I don't know what you guys are talking about, man. It's an amazing song. I love it. It's up there with Detroit Rock City and Shout It Out Loud.
Really?
Absolutely not. No, that's one of those songs, and maybe being a hypocrite. Like Patrick, I heard it once, discarded it, never listened to it again. I didn't give it a chance, or I didn't give it a second chance. I wasn't interested in giving it a second chance. I hated that song that much. It didn't make sense to me that they did that. I understand why they did it because hey, it's Kiss. They do anything, right? I get it, and it's for the Japanese market. I get it. Yeah. I get why they did it. It just wasn't for me. That absolutely was not a Kiss song. I mean, every single song on a Kiss fan's worst album, Carnival of Souls, destroys Samurai Song. Come on.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
It reminds me of an opening of a cartoon of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something, like, it's that kind of a song, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good one. Well, they're all good ones, but this one I love because it's talking about Alive. So a lot of fans feel that the first Alive album was not truly a live album because of all the overdubbing. Okay, so would you rather hear the raw, the mistakes, the words, and or you wanna get that overdubbing to make the album better? So was all that work behind Alive wasn't so bad? So what do you think? So what would you prefer, Craig?
I prefer the polished and jacked up version of the live albums. I like when they take out some of the echoes or the mistakes. Or for me, when I go to a live show, I want to hear it as much as it sounds on a CD or album, with a few kicks. I get that with explosions and visual things.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm a big fan of the polishing it up and like off the soundboard, for example. A lot of that stuff I'm not crazy about because it's just too raw. There's echoing, there's mistakes, and that's going to happen. I don't know what's wrong with it. I prefer they do.
Okay. Patrick?
No, it's not that bad because I think had they released Alive as is, people were already writing them off as a joke back then in '75. So if you could imagine them releasing an album that was the real thing, people would have said, well, those guys, they're horrible live and things like that. So I think by patching it up, you get the experience still. So to me, when I found out that not all of it was live or it was patched up or whatever, I was like, well, such is life, and I don't think you still get the experience no matter what.
Yeah.
They put the audience, you hear it, and you hear the explosions. So I think that's good enough for me. So no, it's not that bad. Not for me.
Okay. Ask.
I think the purpose of that album was to present the Kiss live experience. Whether it was overdubbed or not, it did exactly that. We listened to Alive, and you get the live experience. I remember the instant lives. I was at the show, and you got the live experience. But I hated listening to the instant lives.
Yeah,
it's just too raw for me. It's like that's not what I want to listen to. Off the soundboard, Craig, I agree. Like the Virginia Beach, I don't want to listen to that. I mean, it's like no, that's too raw. It takes away from the live experience because you're focusing on how poorly done it is, all the mistakes. And no, I'm glad they fixed it up, and I totally agree with Patrick. If they didn't, it would have been the end of the band, because they would have been perceived more as a joke than they were already perceived.
Yeah.
Claudio? Yeah.
I love, Alive the way it is. I think that Eddie Kramer, he did a fantastic job, trying to capture what Kiss was about, live as a live band. And it's funny because sometimes you happen to cross paths with people that don't know Kiss that much. And I was asked the question many times. Hey, so can you suggest one album so that I get to know a little bit more about Kiss? And I say, listen to Alive. To me, that's Kiss. That's the real Kiss. If you want to live the experience, you want to know what a show is about, you want to get the good tunes, the good singing, the lead guitar, the drums, that's the perfect. To me, that's perfection, in a single album. No, I couldn't change anything on Alive. Not at all. Not at all.
All right. So the next question has less to do with the band's acting skills than the movie itself. So we're talking about Kiss Meets the Phantom. And I remember in previous episodes, we talked about, if something in history was removed, would it have changed the history of the band? So the question is Kiss Meets the Phantom such a bad movie? And would it have made a difference in history if that film never existed or not? In other words, does Kiss Meets the Phantom, does it have a right to exist in history? Is it such a bad movie? Craig, what do you think?
I think it's a bad movie. I think when they put it out, it made Kiss accessible to many people who don't go to the shows. And it made them even more popular because the casual fan maybe became a more diehard fan because they saw it, because they weren't allowed to go to concerts or what have you, but they were on mainstream TV, right? Yeah, it's cheesy. Yeah, there's stupid lines in there, and they got guns. Seriously. But the concert footage in that, I thought it was really cool when I was growing up. What I didn't like was when I got duped and thinking that they changed the name of the movie to, instead of Kiss Meets the Phantom, and Attack of the Phantoms. And then you go to the movie theater and it's the same movie with just full stuff put in. That was like, okay, that's not what I look for, but it is what it is, right? You saw it on a big screen instead of a little TV screen at home, maybe in black and white, who knows, in those days. But let's face it, today it's one of those urban legends. It's one of those, how can I say it, like The Elder and that stuff. It's love it or hate it. And I think at the time it boosted their popularity immensely. And I think it had a place in history where they made it accessible to people that couldn't have normally get their Kiss fix.
Good point. Pat?
My opinion is that the movie, sometimes I say initially it's bad, but with time it gets better. But unfortunately, I do not think that's the case with that movie. I think it's horrible. But how can I put it? When it first came out, it was for the purpose of people like you and me and everybody else, because we didn't have internet or anything like that. So I think when it came on, it was the first time that I saw them move, because we had only the albums and the magazines. Now, they're on TV, I can see them move, and it was the first time I could see them play, and it was a cool thing to watch. But I remember being a 10-year-old kid seeing that and going, even I was bored with it, as they were getting on the rides, and they're sitting and they're crossing the bridge to get to the boat, to get to the harbor. And it was like, as a kid, I was like, even if it was Kiss. But having said that, if that movie hadn't been released, I think the original lineup might have been stretched a little more, because I think that Ace and Peter totally got. I'm not saying things would have been much different later on, but they might have been able to stretch it a little bit more. I think that was the final straw for the original band. With all that,
Not in their voices,
I have no problem believing that this was the final nail in the coffin.
Okay. Claudia?
Um, I I think it is a big part of well, not maybe not a big, but it's an important part of history. You know, that movie. I don't think I think that not having that movie could have changed many things. And from my experience, I can say I didn't have at that time in '79 or '78. I didn't have the exposure to the band that you guys had. And I remember when the movie was released in South America, it was in the movie theaters. It was not on TV, and you have no idea how many people jumped on the band and knew about the band because of that movie, and they all became, you know, like huge fans after that. You know, same thing happened with the Dynasty and then Unmasked. So that was that specific time in the band that you were watching your superheroes. You know, there's Paul moving, there's Gene. You know, of course it's a bit as Craig said, it's cheesy, you know, and all of that. But I think it's an important part of history. I think it fits the bill. It serves a purpose at that time. Can you imagine all of the merch that came out because of that movie? That could have never happened if you don't have that movie. If you don't have, you know, prime time on a Saturday night, that movie on TV, how many fans, you know, Kiss could have lost? So to me, it is a big part of history, and it has to stay. To me, Pask, what do you think?
No, I agree with all of you. Paul often says he was embarrassed by that movie, but I wonder if he could go back and change things. Would he still do the movie, or would he not do the movie? And I think if he didn't do the movie, he clearly doesn't understand the impact that this movie had on a new generation of Kiss fans.
That's right.
And like Patrick said as well, that was the first time we saw them in an action motion picture.
Yeah.
Outside of a magazine or an album cover, you know. And I remember in my day, Patrick, you were bored. I loved every second of it. I found the beginning of the movie boring when Kiss didn't come out, but I loved every second of it. I really enjoyed the movie. Only later on, when I rewatched it years later, I'm thinking, "Ooh, that's a really bad movie." But I totally understand the impact it had on history and on the fans. And for that reason, no, I don't think it was so bad.
So we're wrapping up, guys. So one final question before we end up the show. So here's a question that will tie up this episode in a neat little ball. So Kiss fans are a lot like, you know, Star Wars, Star Trek fans. We all agree with that. We tend to overthink everything, you know, get into the, you know, little details and everything, try to, you know, scratch the surface, you know, even more than that. So maybe like what we're doing on this episode, you know, going into the missteps of the band and trying to understand why and how. Is it so bad that fans do that we tend to overthink everything? Craig?
Good question.
No, I think it's Kiss after all. And I think we just demand perfection. We tend to overthink, over criticize, over contemplate every move, you know, and it's who we are. I think we just want to know why things are done this way and why they're not done that way. And it tends to, it's an obsession, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think also that we want to, in lyrics of songs, we also think of, why were they saying this? Why were they saying that? And then we're looking into lyrics of songs, which is just like, they're just party songs, right? But thinking of why this member would say that and why this member would say that. Is that towards Peter? Is that towards Ace? Is that towards Eric? Whatever the case may be, right? And it's just overthinking. Can we just love what we have and let the drama on the side? I.e. like set lists and that stuff. We're not going to change it. We're just four guys on the podcast. You know what I mean?
True.
We're not going to change it. We voice our opinion, and maybe we can send it to Paul, and we'll say, "Yeah, okay, thanks a lot."
That's right.
We start paying you, we'll start listening to you, right?
That's right, exactly.
So that's about it, guys, for me.
Good, thank you. Pat?
Yeah, maybe we take it too seriously, and sometimes that takes away the joy of just liking the band, and it's we take it too seriously, especially when you go to forums, different forums that you have like a username and you post something, and then the other fan goes, that's a stupid question or whatever. So that's the sign I don't like. So that's why I don't visit forums anymore, because then you go, okay, I'm fighting with someone I don't even know their face or their name, and so that's negative. I tend to stay away from that, because then it gets too seriously. But aside from that, I try to take it for what it is. It's a rock band. It's supposed to be fun. Some things I like and I don't like, and I have my opinions, but they're only that, opinions. And I always keep that in mind. So I try to, maybe sometimes we analyze too much, or we want to know too much stuff, but at the end of the day, is it really that important? Did the band bring you joy? Yes, it did. Mission accomplished, in my opinion.
Okay.
Good point.
Pask?
It's an interesting question, because when we say, well, in my opinion, by definition, by giving your opinion, are you not nitpicking? Even though it's just your opinion, you're still nitpicking, right? What we're doing on this show right now, aren't we nitpicking? Was it so bad or not?
We are.
We are, aren't we? We are.
True.
Let's face it. Okay, so for me, I try as much as possible. Like Pat said, if we're going to nitpick everything, it takes away from the experience of the band and enjoying the band for what it is. It's a rock band. It's just fun, not to be taken seriously. So I like to see it more as, it's not a matter of my opinion. It's a matter of what I like and what I don't like. If I like it, I will pursue it. If I don't like it, I don't. I don't like a particular song, I won't listen to it. I like a particular song, I will. If I don't like the set list, I won't go to the show. But if I'm going to the show, obviously the set list doesn't bother me so much, does it? So does it really make a difference if I'm going to go on a podcast now and talk about the set list and nitpick about the set list, and we should do this and we should do that, And this might be an interesting question for our listeners as well. Maybe we should post it when we post this video. What do you want to see in terms of topics for this episode, or for this podcast rather? Because if people notice, we don't focus on specific details or specific minutia of the band. We've often been asked, why don't you do an unboxing? Recently, why don't you do an episode on the Sam Loomis videos? It's like, what am I going to say? I enjoy the videos. They're a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the next one. Episode over. But no, we have to kill an hour or so. So let's find something to talk about to keep that space of an hour. And to me, it makes absolutely no sense to do that. I enjoy the videos or I don't. It's as simple as that. There's nothing more to say about them. So I think for me, it is bad that fans nitpick. It's the same thing with Star Trek and Star Wars. If you see the Star Trek sites especially, listen, it was a good episode. Do you have to break it down like that? It's just enjoy it for what it is and walk away. That's it. Claudia, what do you think?
Well, just to start with, I think that's a great question. And as I was prepping up for the chat with you guys, I have a problem with this question. It's so good that I don't, sometimes I'm kind of a double sword thing with this question. I'm with you, Pask. I want to enjoy, I don't want to nitpick or stuff because it takes away the magic. But I think we're so passionate that we have the tendency to go deeper and deeper with every single thing, even if it's a set list or a song or a stage or the latest videos that were released. So I don't know. Is it so bad? Sometimes I think it is. Sometimes I think it's really, really bad to overthink something that it's for fun, right? It's entertainment. It's music. It's a rock band. I don't even think that the KISS members, they take it so seriously as we do. But at the same time, if you don't pay too much attention to certain things, it's like you're not a true fan. You know what I mean? I have that kind of thinking of one, depending on the day, one way or the other. But yeah, I think that I'm wondering if fans of other bands are the same as Kiss fans.
I would say so.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah.
Mhm.
Same thing with Rush, with Stones, with Beatles.
Most likely, yeah.
Same thing, eh? Same
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, but Claudio,
Go
also
ahead.
look at what we're doing with this podcast, right? What are we focusing on? We're focusing on the fan experience.
Yeah.
Why is Kiss important to you? Why are you a passionate Kiss fan? That's our focus. And we never go into the minutia because it takes away from what brings us joy regarding this band.
Mhm.
And I think imagine doing a fan profile and then going into the minutia, the details of specific things in history. To me, that wouldn't be a fun episode. I don't know about you guys, but I just wouldn't enjoy that.
No, me either.
Well, it depends on the approach and the angle that you want to take, because there are some guys that I'm sure that they're having a lot of fun discussing, the minutiae, as you said before, because the focus of the project or the podcast or the chat is just to go into the extreme details. We actually decided to take this angle, for the fun, fun profiles and the experience and what we feel instead of what we know. Because, there's so much information out there that if you really want to know everything, well, just get a couple of books, and read them through, in the summer and you'll get it. But again, I think that we mentioned this many, many times. To me, the fun of being a Kiss fan, it's this, having the chance to chit chat and to change opinions, and know what others think about the same topic. So to me, that's the fun part of being a Kiss fan.
Exactly.
I'd like to add that also being a Kiss fan it's also Kiss means different things to different people.
Yeah.
Some people it's the mystique, some people it's the persona, the character, some people it's the concert, some people it's the music, some people it's the drama, whatever the case may be. It's all one central thing at the end of the day, but I think to many people it's different aspects that make them a super fan.
Mm-hmm.
I want to close the show with one final comment. What does this show mean to you? What does this podcast mean to you? Because what this podcast means to me is basically getting together, Kiss fans coming together and talking about the greatest band in the world, talking about our experiences, talking about our passions, talking about our Kiss stories, meeting the band, what are we going to buy next? And I love this podcast for that. If we had one listener, fine. It's getting together with Kiss fans and discussing the band. That's what it's about for me. Craig, closing remarks. What is it about for you?
What it's about for me is basically getting together, talking about different angles of the band, of the genre, of the mystique. What is Kiss? I mean, I'm not selling my opinion on you. You're not selling your opinion on me, but we all understand what we're saying because it's all in the same vein, right?
Yeah.
Some people it's collecting. Some people it's music. It's all about, for me, I look forward to this every once in a while because for me it's a chance for me to meet you guys and to have fun with you guys and to actually share best practices and best experiences, because to each of us is a different experience.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Pat? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, for me, it's also a chance to discuss with other hardcore fans because I have some very close friends that are music fans, that they like Kiss, but probably not the same way us guys do. So it's kind of fun for me to be able to share the same level of passion. I have some friends who they love Kiss and everything, but discussing what we do with them, they get bored with it, I think. So as for the four of us, we can discuss it because we're on the same page where this is concerned. So that's a lot of fun for me. I enjoy that. I need that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it means for me.
Claudio, closing remarks?
Well, to me, it's great. I can't wait. For the recording and when we discussed during the week past of the different themes and the different subjects that we're going to be touching on. to me, it's like bread and butter. It's fun. And what I like the most is that to me is kind of really pure, and it's honest. There's no business behind, because sometimes when you deal with the band, and sometimes you tend to think, oh yeah, they're going to release such and such album because of this, or they're going to extend 100 shows because of that. Here, there's nothing like that. This is pure, friendship and getting to know the experience of other guys who have the same passion than me, and no business related. You know what I mean? In these days, people have the tendency to do things to get something in return.
Yeah.
Here, what we're having is fun, getting to know new people, share the same, opinions or not, and with respect. And to me, that's the beauty of this project. I hope it's going to last forever. So this is growing and getting better and better every day.
Guys, for me, it's the only homework that I've ever enjoyed.
Right on.
Yeah.
I should get an A+ on this one.
You got it.
My first one.
You got it.
So, guys, having said all that, once again, Craig, Patrick, thank you so much for being on the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thanks for having us.
And to the Kiss Army, if you want to get involved with the Kiss Army Nation podcast, send us your comments, questions, or ideas to talk to me at kissarmynationpodcast.com. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and remember, never stop rocking. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.
If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe on YouTube, or follow us on Spotify, Automatic, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to make yourself heard. Leave us a comment on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. See you all soon, Kiss Army.